In the first half of our 30-day China round trip, I show you our adventures on the way to Hong Kong, who we met in Guangzhou, our trip to and around Yangshuo in the Guilin region, how we got to Chengdu, where we saw loads of cute panda bears for my 30th birthday and where we got engaged, our day trip to Leshan to the biggest sitting stone Buddha, our sightseeing tour in Xian to see the Terracotta Army, and our first few days in the capital Beijing, where we met with someone else and explored the famous Forbidden City and many other attractions. And we also celebrated New Year's Eve there. So grab a cup of coffee or tea, get cozy, and let me tell and show you what happened. Hello scrapbookers and travelers, welcome to my channel Little Steffi Big World, where I focus on travel scrapbooking. I show you album flip-throughs, process videos and scrapbooking supply hauls focusing on travel scrapbooking. If you like that kind of videos and want to see more, please subscribe and put on the notification bell. Today I want to give you a flip through the first of 2 China scrapbooks. As always, there will be a quick music flip through version of this on my channel as well. The link to that video is in the video description below this video. In this chatty version, however, I will not only show you this album and tell you about the trip itself, but also show you some of our video footage. There is a video compilation of our video footage on my channel, which I've also linked below. My then boyfriend and now husband Marcus and me went on a 30-day China round trip back in December 2015 to January of 2016. I kept the cover of both scrapbooks in red, gold and brown with some stamping, a little self-made tag with twine, buttons, a few word stickers and other travel themed stickers. This is a picture of 2 sleeping pandas which we saw in Chengdu in the Panda Research Center with a little wood veneer here. On the inner cover I have a picture of a quote that I found on the internet. It says, "Of all the books in the world, the best stories are found between the pages of a passport." And I totally agree with this quote, so I had to put it in here. I took a red envelope from my stash, as red envelopes in China are a symbol of good fortune, as you give money for special occasions in special red money envelopes. I just put some golden border stickers around the edges. This envelope holds copies of our China visas that we needed to enter China as tourists on a 30-day time frame. On the back I put some pattern paper and some key stickers, as these were our keys to enter into China. I also have the printout of our travel plan with the week dates, the transfers, destinations, our accommodations and the sightseeing spots for that particular day as a rough guide for our trip. I've also put the names of the cities and attractions in Chinese characters so we could show this to anyone. As you can see, we changed our plans and also some of our pre-booked accommodations. I didn't book an accommodation for all the nights in advance, so we just booked a few nights while we were in China. In the back I have a map of a part of China which I took out of an old atlas that I use every now and then in my scrapbooks as embellishment, and I put some panda stickers in the corners. We took off from the Frankfurt airport in Germany on Friday the 18th of December 2015. This is a picture of our backpacks and our day pack. As we would be traveling around a lot, we decided to not take our big luggage with us and to travel as light as possible. These are our plane tickets from Frankfurt to Chengdu, and in behind I have some journaling about how full the plane was and that it was very difficult for us to sleep on the plane. Down here are the plane tickets from Chengdu to Hong Kong, which I can flip to the side. And there's some More journaling, stamping and some stickers here, and there is a selfie of my then boyfriend Marcus and me in the waiting area in Frankfurt. For each of the 30 days I've put the according number of the days on the pages, so this is the first day. On the second day we arrived in Chengdu, where we had a stopover of several hours which we spent at the airport. We bought our Chinese SIM card there, and even though we were at an international airport, the sales staff didn't speak a lot of English, and it took several people and a phone call to a friend of a staff member to get us some information on how we would be able to recharge the SIM. We didn't get the information that we needed, but it was okay. We would figure it out somehow, or one of our Chinese friends might be able to help us, and they did. We arrived late at night in Hong Kong, but we were able to take the last train to Kowloon Station. From there we had to take the taxi to our accommodation, the Fortunate Guest House, which is in the Chongqing Mansion. It was a very little room with a strange bathroom, but we were just tired and wanted to sleep, which because of the time shift was a bit difficult. This is an envelope that we got when we bought a little fridge magnet somewhere, and I used it to hold some more travel memorabilia like receipts and our train tickets. There's some journaling in behind this as well, and our visa for Hong Kong. As German citizens, we don't need a special visa to enter Hong Kong, but for mainland China. On our third day, we walked from the Chongqing Mansion to the Hong Kong's train station and boarded the next train to Guangzhou. There were only first class tickets available, but it was still pretty cheap as we just got on it. Here's the business card of our next accommodation, the Lilac International Suites. By the way, this video is not sponsored by any mentioned company, accommodation or brand that are named. We paid for everything ourselves unless we got invited by one of our friends. We arrived at 3 p.m, checked in, refreshed and immediately went out again to get some food. In this little corner pocket I have some more receipts and a map of Guangzhou. Let me just show you. We took the metro to Yuxia Park for a nice little walk around. There was lots to see. Some dances were happening, waterfalls, bridges, plants and temples. At the East Railway Station we had some dinner. This is the picture of our self-chosen laksa. We picked the ingredients ourselves. Then we got to our room and waited for my Chinese friend Tong, who I met in Malaysia. If you see my CHATTY Malaysia scrapbook, which I'm going to link in the video description below, you will know that I met Tong in the common area of the hostel I stayed in Georgetown on Penang Island on the west coast of Malaysia. We had a good talk, went for lunch together and then decided within 2 hours of knowing each other to rent a scooter and drive around the island for the rest of the day. And it was a fantastic trip, but I'm also happy that we survived it. Tong and I kept in contact since, and he studies and works in Guangzhou, so we were able to meet him after work. And as we Germans came all the way to China, he thought it would be best to bring us to a German restaurant to have some proper German beer. It was so funny. He was the main and only reason we stopped in Guangzhou at all. Unfortunately, I lost contact to him a while ago. We had a nice evening together. He gave us some tips on how to behave in China, and then we said goodbye. The next day we had a traditional Chinese breakfast in our hotel with soup and filled buns before we got on a new generation bullet train to Guilin. There were many security checks and everything was quite organized and neat within the train. We bought these fruits from the train food vendor and we have no idea what this is. So if you know these fruits, please let me know in the comments below. We remember them as pretty nice. Down here are our train tickets from this trip. We arrived shortly before 4 p.m. in Guilin, got ourselves some snacks and then we looked for the bus to bring us to Yangshuo. I had researched this on the internet and we tried to do this on a budget, so going by bus should be the cheapest option. Marcus went into the tourist information shop and they told him it was way better to go by taxi. Yes, the taxi is more expensive than the bus, but in comparison to Western countries, it is still pretty cheap. They told us it would be a 1 to 2 hour drive and we were able to share the taxi with a British man who turned out to be an English teacher in China. So lucky. He spoke perfect English and he could speak enough Chinese to translate with the driver. It was a very interesting ride through the karst landscape, passing those mountain-like structures and a lot of construction sites. The whole ride took us 3 hours, not just 1 or 2 hours, but 3 hours. We arrived at the Bamboo House Resort in Yangshuo, a very touristy city. After freshening up, we had a vegetarian dinner in a restaurant, and it was really amazing and delicious. My husband is vegetarian, so we have to find vegetarian options for him, which luckily wasn't too difficult most of the times. We went to some liquor tasting and bought some more snacks in some shops along the busy main street of Yangshuo, and we had ball waffles, our new favorite, which we got from the Mango Cafe. This is a card where you can write a message and then leave the card somewhere on the walls inside the cafe. I, however, took this one with me as a souvenir. For the first day, I just made a pocket here. It was a very rainy day, so I didn't take a lot of nice pictures that day. We had a big proper lunch where we ordered a big Coke and got a 1.5-liter bottle for very little money and loads of tofu things. Then we took off on a round trip in the rain, and I used this leaflet as a map to guide us. We went along the Li River and then along a big street, and then I wanted to go this way around, but there were lots of new streets being built and lots of new houses, and we totally got lost. Because we were in the countryside, we didn't have a good phone connection, so we just kept going until we found a big street and followed the road signs back into Yangshuo. We did pass some of the sites that are mentioned on this leaflet, like the hot spring and a butterfly cave, but we didn't go in. We were completely soaked and needed a hot bath. In the evening, we tried some more local food, like a spicy soup from a little street vendor, which was pretty good, to be honest. We bought some more wine. This piece here is from the wine bottle packaging, and this piece here was strapped around the cap of another little rice wine bottle. I have some more receipts in here and my journaling card. The next day, the 6th day of our trip, on the 23rd of December 2015, we had arranged with the hotel owner to drive us at 6 a.m. in the morning to the Guilin airport. He took the highway, so we arrived within an hour, also because the streets were completely empty. We had breakfast at the airport before we boarded the plane, which would take us to Chengdu. These are our plane tickets from our domestic flight, and it was pretty cheap and a lot faster than taking the train. We arrived at noon in Chengdu. This is one of the postcards from a pack of postcards that we had bought there. This one was left over after we wrote and sent the other ones. This shows Tianfu Square of Chengdu at night, nicely lit up. I put my journaling on the back and also glued in the business card of our accommodation there, the Zen Urban Resort, a very nice hotel. As we would spend Christmas and my 30th birthday here, my then boyfriend Marcus insisted on paying for a really nice room this time and not a cheap room. So after freshening up, we walked from the resort to Tianfu Square. So here is a picture at daylight and the key card holder of our resort. And we also walked up to this statue and took a selfie. So in this pocket is a note from the airline that they checked my husband's luggage and took out the external battery pack for his smartphone. Quite annoying really, so we had to buy a new one to keep his smartphone going while we were on the go for several hours at a time. In here I also have the map that we got from our resort and my journaling on the back of this card, also from the resort with some art on it. We wanted to have a famous hot pot dinner and walked around the underground shops of Tianfu Square but couldn't find a restaurant. So we wrote to our Chinese friends via WeChat, which is the Chinese equivalent to our WhatsApp. And our friends answered immediately and sent us the Chinese characters for hot pot with some suggestions. So we were at a Starbucks and showed the characters to the staff members, and they wrote Lao Ma Tao on this Starbucks paper and put this little star here on the map and said take a taxi. So right in front of the Starbucks was a taxi stand, so we got into the taxi, gave the driver the map, pointed at the star and said Lao Ma Tao while holding up this piece of paper. But he kind of didn't agree with this and asked us something in Chinese. We insisted on going to Lao Ma Tao and pointed at the star. After a minute or two, it seemed like he said Lao Ma Tao or the star point. And we said Lao Ma Tao and didn't point at the star anymore. Then he was happy and drove us to a massive restaurant. We found out 2 days later that the star on the map was in the completely wrong place. It should have been somewhere down here. The restaurant was very full and the staff wanted to give us a small table near the entrance, but I said I wanted to have a table at a window or mimicked a window and like looking out, and refused to sit at the pointed table. They gave in and gestured us to wait at the entrance, and sure enough, after a few minutes of waiting, we did get a big table at a window. Ha! You just have to be stubborn sometimes and communicate with your hands and feet. We got this half and half hot pot as my Chinese friend Triggy had suggested us via WeChat. So you get a spicy half of the pot and a not so spicy half. We ordered loads of veggies and some tuna balls for myself. We put in the veggies first, and when my husband said he was finished with the hot part of the hot pot, I put in my tuna balls at the very end. It was a great dinner. On this picture, you see the size of the ginger that was in there. The next day, on the 24th of December 2015, was my 30th birthday, and we took off really early in the morning by taxi to the Chengdu research base of giant panda breeding. This is the map of the huge area, and take my word for it, we walked all the ways. Like every single one. We went everywhere to make sure we saw every single panda bear. These are our 2 entry tickets, and because we were there so early, we got to see them quite active after they've received their bamboo food. We have tons of pictures and video footage, especially of this group eating their bamboo, and there was one of them climbing up the tree in the background. It was fantastic. I could have watched them all day. We did, however, move on to another panda bear where it was quieter, and that's where Marcus dropped to his knee, took out the ring and asked the question. We got engaged. I had a feeling that he would propose to me during this trip, but I really didn't think he would do it there. Well, moving on, we had to see more even cuter panda bear cubs. This one here climbed a tree as well. And this one was a pretty nosy one, disrupting the even smaller cubs. It was so funny. It was really, really nice. Here's another leaflet about the research base and the work that's being done there. There's also a very small enclosure for red pandas, which we also had a look at. Most of them were sleeping, except for this one, who was moving around a lot. We spent a lot of the day at the panda research base, and we had some dinner at Tianfu Square and bubble tea after. We had informed both our families about our engagement. The next day, on Christmas Day, we went on a day trip to Leshan to see the Grand Buddha. Apparently, the biggest sitting stone Buddha in the world. These are our tickets to the Leshan Grand Buddha area. In this corner pocket, I have our bus tickets to get there and a little note from our resort in Chinese to show to the information that's at the bus station that we wanted to take the 8:20 a.m. bus to Leshan, and that really helped us to get the right bus, which took 2 hours to get there. From the bus station in Leshan, we took a local bus to the area, and when we walked up to the Buddha, you see his head first. You can walk all around here to see him from behind and both sides. Then you walk down some very steep stone stairs to the bottom. It was very full when we got there, so here's a picture looking down. a picture of my husband with the GoPro strapped to his head, and then from the bottom up. There are two rivers crossing at this point, and they were very dangerous currents, so someone decided to build a stone Buddha into the cliff to soothe the river gods. While constructing the Buddha, stones were falling into the river and changed the currents and made them less dangerous, so it worked. We had a look around the bottom and then walked to some nearby temples that were included in our tickets. Within the area, there are some exhibitions that you need to pay extra to see, but we didn't do any of that. There was still plenty to see, like the tomb museums and the Hui temple up the hill. At 3:15 p.m. we took the bus back to Chengdu again with a little help from our resort, so we would get the right tickets and the right bus. In the evening, we tried to find a restaurant with pictures on the menu, or at least English dish names. We did find one and ordered 2 vegetarian dishes and 1 with meat. Unfortunately, the menu was translated wrong, and all 3 dishes were with tofu and meat. My husband ate rice and I ate some of the 3 dishes, which were actually pretty good, but we had to leave a lot of food behind, which in China is a sign that you are wealthy and had enough to eat. It is common practice to order way more food than you can eat to leave some of it behind. On the second day of Christmas, we missed our alarm for breakfast and slept in. We packed our bags, checked out, left our bags at the luggage room and went to Tiananmen Square for an all-you-can-eat and drink hot pot and barbecue for very little money. I think it was like 15 euro per person. That day, we bought these postcards, sat down at a Starbucks to write on all of them, and in the evening we searched for the panda pose so we could send them out with a panda pose stamp on them. I kept this second postcard here to stamp all the different stamps on it that you can get there. Here's some receipts and my journaling on the paper from the resort notepad that were provided in our rooms. In the evening we took a taxi to the Chengdu train station, but we could have taken the metro as well, but it took us very long to find the panda post and then get back to our resort. And these are the train tickets with the stamps of the security checkpoints on them. Before we were allowed into the big hall, you have to wait in the big hall until the train arrives at the track, and then you're allowed to actually get onto the platform. And nobody queues in a straight line or patiently. You have to push your way towards the barrier. This is a picture along the hallway inside the train, and this was our cabin for the night. We actually booked first class even though we were on a budget trip, but after seeing videos of what the sleeping situation is in the lower classes, we decided against it. We took the upper 2 beds, but throughout the night the other 2 beds got occupied as well. We didn't have the best sleep, but the view out the window rolling along the countryside was amazing. We arrived in Xian at 2 p.m. This is another art card from our resort in Shangdu. There's a business card of our next accommodation, Mr. Vinegar Service Apartment in Xian. It was a bit difficult to find it. There are the receipts from the accommodation, and we got this map of Xian. This is the wall with the old town inside. And this way you will find the Terracotta Army, but there is way more to discover in and around Xian. We refreshed in our apartment, then walked back to the city center. These are our 2 tickets to get onto the city wall, where we rented a tandem bike to ride on the wall because it was very big and long, and I am not a fan of riding bikes so much, but we still had a good time. Because we arrived so late in the afternoon, we could see the night falling over the city from up the wall. The city is very big and busy at night. We had some noodles for dinner and went to sleep. On Monday, the 28th of December 2015, our 11th day of this trip, we took the metro to the railway station to buy our tickets for the train to Beijing, and after buying some incredibly cheap street food, we hopped on a bus to the Terracotta Army. It took an hour to get there, where we arrived at about 11 a.m. It is a very big excavation site. We had a look at the main exhibition hall, which is the most famous one, with the statues of an army, and each statue looks completely different. So here are the tickets. So I took some zoomed in pictures of them. There are 3 more pits to visit, an information center and a museum, but they were nowhere near as interesting as the main hall. And even with the main hall, it wasn't too spectacular after a while. We felt a little bit ripped off, to be honest, as the entrance fee is very expensive in comparison to many other attractions, even to ones in Beijing and Shanghai. And there wasn't too much to see or even read, but we have seen it, so we took the bus back to Xian in the early afternoon. We were back at 2:30 p.m. and we tried to find vegetarian dishes at restaurants and ended up eating tofu sticks, loads of different tofu snacks from street vendors. Here I have a leaflet about Xian, and as you can see, there's a lot more to be seen and done in the area. We did, however, spend the evening in our apartment. The next day we had a room inspection to get our deposit back and then took the train to Beijing. This is the metro map of Beijing with a little sightseeing guide on the back. Here's a little selfie of us in the train and a picture of the speed display. The train went a little bit faster than 307 kilometers per hour at some point actually, but that's already really fast. We arrived at 6 p.m. in Beijing. It was really smoggy there. It was itching in our eyes and in our lungs, so we immediately put on our mask, which we had brought with us from Germany. Back in 2015, it wasn't that common to have face masks like in 2020. It took a while to find our hotel, the Howard Johnson. I have the key card holder in here with the receipt and a business card, and my journaling on the hotel stationery pad, and these are the paper coasters of the hotel that I used to make a little tucking spot here. The next day the north wind had blown away all the smog and we had a great clear blue sky. At 7:30 a.m. we watched the hissing of the flag at Tiananmen Square, for which the road had been blocked. Then we had a quick look around the square before we walked past the gate of the Heavenly Place. The 5 different bridges are for the different classes of people. The middle one here is solely for the king, so even the guard is not allowed to stand in the middle. We had to go through the far right for the normal folks. Then we went to the Forbidden City. This is our ticket to get in, so here are some pictures from inside. But unfortunately there wasn't too much information available in English, as we didn't get any guide, so I didn't really know much about it. The Forbidden City is huge, with loads of interesting alleys, temples and ornaments. I just put 2 pictures here, one of my husband and one of me standing next to one of the many gates. After lunch we went to the Temple of Heaven and we loved it. The park is so nice. We had a good look around, and at the souvenir stand inside the park we bought this panda hat for myself. But it actually looks a lot better on him. In this pocket I have some more receipts and tickets and a bookmark from a hostel close to our hotel where we did our laundry. The next day, on New Year's Eve, we finally met my Chinese friend Twitty, who I met in Australia. Hi Twiggy! I'm still in contact with her and she helped us a lot with obtaining our visa and planning our trip to China, and she helped us via WeChat when we had any questions or needed a word or a phrase in Chinese, and she also recharged our Chinese SIM card for us as we didn't get proper information at the Chengdu airport on how to do it. By pure coincidence, her mother and her booked a room in the same hotel as us, and they even had their room on the same floor. So it was very easy for us to meet early to have some breakfast together. So here's a picture of the breakfast that she ordered for us. It is a whole procedure to order the right amount and the right balance of food. Like, you need something hot and something cold, something with meat and something vegetarian, and so on. Of course, you need to order way more food than you could eat, and this breakfast was really good. It was so good, Max and I got back to this place a day or two later. Then we took a metro to the Summer Palace, where we arrived at 10 a.m. and Twiggy asked someone to take a picture of us at the entrance bridge. It was -7 degrees Celsius and the rivers and the big Kunming Lake were completely frozen. I didn't know how huge the area of the Summer Palace was. Twiggy got us this beautiful art map of the Summer Palace. It is huge. And even so, we walked quickly from one place to another. We were not able to even see half of the area, but it is really beautiful. I totally recommend going there. So here's a picture of the famous gate, and Twiggy took a picture of us at the frozen Kunming Lake. At noon, we took the metro back into the city, and on behalf of Twiggy's mom, she took us to a traditional non-tourist restaurant to enjoy half of a Beijing duck with several side dishes. You actually eat the duck very differently to what we are used to from Chinese restaurants in Germany. They also prepared the duck in a special way, and we had some dessert afterwards. Thanks so much to Twiggy for taking us and her mom for paying for this experience. I will never forget it. We left the restaurant at 3:30 p.m. and took the metro to Xian station. At the big bus station where Twiggy helped us to buy tickets for a bus tour to the Great Wall the next day. She has been told that due to the bank holidays, there were almost no public buses going there, so it would be our best option to take a guided tour. Then she showed us the main Hutong Street, which you can see in the back of this picture. There she had to leave us to meet with her mother and some friends of the family for dinner. We walked through the narrow side alleys and haggled our way around to get some souvenirs for our family and some friends. We totally lost our orientation in there and suddenly reached a main street again. After some more shopping for souvenirs, we went to the railway station to buy our tickets to Shanghai, and then we walked back to our hotel room. There we met Twiggy again, who took us out for New Year's Eve. She showed us to the Chinese part of Huahai Park. Apparently there is a tourist area and the Chinese area. We had some barbecue sticks and churros before we searched a bar to enter for free, which was a little bit difficult. I got this piece from a calendar that the supermarket gave out for free with any purchase. So we got into the ferry boat and had some cocktails. And there was a band playing as well on the stage. They did the countdown for midnight and clapped. And then within 5 minutes after midnight, everyone left. Like everyone. There was no music playing, and Twiggy urged us to get going so we could get a taxi. But everyone tried to get a taxi, so we took the bus instead to get to our hotel. And at about half an hour past midnight, on the 1st of January 2016, the year of the monkey, we were back in our hotel room because this is how they celebrate our new year in China. So we got to bed early, and so we got up early on the new year and headed for the Lama temple. We did some incense burning, and this is the packaging of the incense that we got, and these are our 2 tickets. In the last days, the air quality in Beijing has gotten worse, so we wore our masks again. We did throw some coins at the bell for good luck and visited the largest sandalwood Buddha. Apparently, nobody knows if this Buddha is really made out of sandalwood or if it is really just one giant piece of sandalwood, as they claim in the temple. In the afternoon, we just bought some t-shirts and went grocery shopping and had dinner in the Henderson Center. This is the inner back cover, and I did find this art map of Beijing in a tourist information point for free. It just shows you how big Beijing is, and yes, you have to take the metro to get around everywhere. I hope you enjoyed this flip through of the first China scrapbook. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, subscribe to my channel and put on the notification bell so you don't miss the second flip through next week and any other flip throughs, travel scrapbooking process videos and hauls in the future. Also leave a comment below which part you like the most. You all stay safe and scrapbook on. Take care and bye bye.